Welcome to Between Sunday, a show dedicated to Jesus-focused conversations around our everyday life journey questions that happen in between the Sundays. And in today's show, I want to carry on our conversation from our last Between Sunday session, where we looked at this idea of clarity. And we're going to get into that a little bit more and how the whole topic of faith fits into this very idea. Well, hello everyone. My name is Matt Edmondson and I am the host of this brand new show called Between Sunday. Now, let me tell you what this show is about. We take the topics of our Sunday live stream, the Sunday talk, and we look at how to apply the ideas to our lives in the rest of the week, right? We bring the questions and the ideas that maybe we just couldn't cover on a Sunday. And so our plan is that you find it edifying, challenging, and fun. Now, if this is your first time here, then a huge welcome to you. Make sure you subscribe to the show wherever you consume your content. Do engage with it. Engage with the comments, give us a thumbs up, give us some great reviews, as it will help us get the content out there and get it in front of more folks, which is always fantastic. Plus, it's always good to hear from you and find out how you're getting on. Now, if you would like to join us for our Sunday live stream and join in our online church service, then you would be more than welcome. Our purpose is simple: to glorify God. We do this through our passion, which is to journey with everyday people like you and me as we fulfill our life's purpose, grow in our faith, and help strengthen others. Or to put it another way, we are disciples making disciples. Now, in the last Between Sunday show, no, it's not a session, it was a show, whatever we call it. Anyway, in the last one, we looked at this idea of the disciples. And if we're honest, maybe a little bit about ourselves as well, about how they were afraid to speak up and ask questions when they didn't understand what was being said. So I want to dig into this idea a little more today, and especially this quote that I came across, which really jumped out at me. And the author was talking in the post about her quest for clarity. Now, I thought this was brilliant. So let me bring this up. In it, she wrote, "I still pray for clarity, but now I also pray for the faith to act in the clarity that I have. I still pray for clarity, but now I also pray for the faith to act in the clarity that I have." Now, one of the things that comes out to me in this sort of story with the disciples, which I really like, is that the disciples, even though they haven't got a clue what Jesus is talking about, are still willing to follow him, right? Despite not getting it, despite not understanding, despite everything that's going on. And whilst I can learn a lesson in terms of speaking up and asking clarifying questions, which, let's face it, is a very good question, I can also be inspired by the fact that the disciples didn't know everything either, but they still followed Jesus anyway. And so I love this quote: "I pray for clarity, but now I also pray for the faith to act in the clarity that I have." Faith to act in the clarity that I have. So whilst I think that it would be good to speak out, there are times where we don't know everything, where there is a lot of fog surrounding us, and all we can see is enough to take the next step in the journey. You know what I mean, right? Well, if I'm honest with you, that's enough when mixed with faith. And I'm inspired by the disciples' loyalty, their willingness to keep going, to keep trusting in times when they didn't have all the answers, but they knew Jesus was ultimately good. He was saying stuff that didn't make sense to them, that sort of altered their perception of life. And sometimes God does the same to us. Or maybe it's just me. I don't know. But he tells us stuff that is hard, stuff that we don't necessarily want to hear, stuff that challenges us, that challenges the way we think about life, or what life should be like, that challenges how we drive life forward. And this sort of walk of faith, if you like, is putting your hand up in the midst of that and saying, God, I don't know what this is about. It does not compute. But what I do know is this: I know enough to trust that you are indeed good and you have nothing but the best for me. So I'm just going to carry on this journey with you and see where it goes. Now, this can be really practical stuff. For me, for example, I didn't become a Christian until I was 18. So I had quite a bit of baggage to deal with, if I'm honest with you. And God began to challenge me about my life when I became a Christian, specifically my attitude to women. I struggled with the biblical instruction about not having sex before marriage. It didn't make sense to me from my worldview at that point, right? But you know what? I quickly began to understand that God was worthy of my trust, even when his commandment from my worldview just didn't make sense. You know, what God was telling me did not make sense, right? Now, Sharon did a great talk a few weeks ago that is available online on the website, frontline.city, called God Not Doing Something the Way You Think He Should. Right? God not doing something the way you think he should. It's a great talk that goes into this idea much deeper of what to do when God doesn't do things the way you think he should, right? You can check that out on the website. Go ahead and do that. Watch the talk or download it. You'll be really blessed by it, right? But the key point is this: God doesn't always do things the way that you think he should. And that's why he is God and you're not. And I'm not, right? It was a lesson that I learned when I was 18. And you know what? 30 years later, I can now see why God gave that commandment about sex before marriage, right? And you know what? I even agree with it. Now it makes total sense to me. My worldview has completely changed on this topic. And you know what? That's okay. God is good and you can trust him even when the questions and the comments are challenging and hard, right? So my question for you today: where is God doing something? Or where is God maybe saying something that is challenging your worldview? And can you commit to him, to trust him in the midst of it? It's a great question, isn't it? So where's God doing this with you? Is he sort of challenging you? Is he sort of prodding you in certain areas? And if he's not, maybe you need to sort of listen a bit harder, because normally he does. And there are these seasons, there are these times when God just puts his finger on things and he challenges us. He challenges our world. He challenges our worldview. That's not easy to say. And we have to make some quality decisions to trust him and keep walking in faith, believing that he is good and that actually he's got nothing but the best for us. So we're going to figure this out as we go along. And that's the inspiration I take from the disciples in this story. Part of me is like, why did you not ask the question and get clarity, which we talked about in the last session? But the other part of me is like, you know what? You didn't have a clue, but you still kept following him. You knew enough to keep going with him. And that is super, super inspirational. So there you go. That's my sort of quick thoughts for today. I hope you've got something out of this. Like I said, if you want to join us on the live stream, let me bring that up here. You are more than welcome to come join us on Sundays at 4 p.m. Be great to see you there, where we are going through Mark's Gospel, and we will carry on our conversations in this. I think in the next one, it's Sharon. She's going to carry on. My wife is going to carry on that conversation. So come and join us if you're free and available. Be great to see you there. Thanks for stopping by today. I hope you've got something out of this. Do enjoy the rest of the day. God bless you, and we'll be back again very soon.